today, but we didn't have all these people in here, so, okay. We'll go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome everyone. My name is John Williams. I'm the Central Committee Chair. It's great to see this crowd here tonight. The other thing that's great to see a lot of people that want to run for office and good candidates. So I'm anxious to hear from a lot of good candidates today. It's a good problem to have choices. The theme tonight, the United Federation of Republican Women came up with it. It's fighting for America. And there's nothing else more important than that right now, other than fighting for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But with that being said, we're not taking the boxing gloves off tonight. Because we're all on the same team here tonight to try to keep Missouri a red state and try to change this country. So without anything else, I can talk all night, so I'm not going to, because we've got to listen to these guys. We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to ask Mr. Brazier to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He's our reporter of deeds, Jeff Brazier. Our presiding commissioner, will lead the invocation.
Thank you, John. We all bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you here this evening with thankful hearts for your many blessings and for your Son Jesus that gave his life and on the cross for our sins. I ask you to guide the hands, hearts, and minds of the leaders and all of us gathered here this evening. And according to your word, I also pray for the peace and protection of the people of Israel. I ask you to bless this food to nourish our bodies and our bodies back to your service. We ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Okay, for the important part, we're going to have two serving lines. Tell you what, Rick and Jeff Brazier, that row across there, just start on that serving line. This row here, start on this serving line right here. You can start right there. We'll try to get this evening over with and get this candidates.
Stopped by and got contacts. I didn't even see it.
I know, I retired. It's been almost a year, and I'm loving it. But I'm sorry I missed you.
Well, I can still see, so.
There you go. That's what's important.
Hang in there, Drew.
Federation of Republican Women. They were responsible for the decorations tonight. Not all the pamphlets and propaganda, but the other stuff on the table. As well as they always come through and help us decorate. So if you all, any member of the United Federation of Republican Women, if you're here, would you stand? We have tonight's sponsors. I'd like to thank those sponsors that help us. They're the elected officials. And Kelly Wagner, our county clerk, is going to come and introduce those for us. Let's go get it.
I'm going to announce the local elected officials. I'm Kelly Wagner. I'm the county clerk here in Howell County. Thank you, Linda. I'd like to start with Judge Steve Prevett. Stand, wave, bow. Judge David Ray. This is the first time I'm announcing Judge Melissa Stewart. I've got Presiding Commissioner Ralph Briggs. Southern Commissioner Billy Sexton, his lovely wife Mary. Prosecuting Attorney Mike Hutchins. Collector Janet Crowe. Assessor Daniel Franks. Circuit Clerk Cynthia Lee. And Treasurer Nancy France. Recorder Jeff Frazier. Coroner Tim Cherry and his wife Linda. Surveyor Ray Riggs and his wife Tammy. Sheriff Greg Campbell. and his wife. Public Administrator John Pruitt. And City of West Plains Mayor. I've lost it. There he is. I hope I haven't missed any local elected officials. I would like to take a minute. This is not going to be breaking news for anyone here tonight, but this is going to be an incredibly large election year. We wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here tonight if you weren't interested in the election process. And with that, I'd like to issue a challenge. We can't do elections without election judges. Poll workers are an integral part of what we do to make election day work. So if you're interested in being an election judge, let me know. If you know someone that you think would be an outstanding election judge, have them get a hold of me. We would love for them to be part of our team. And I think that as a team, we can do great things. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, I would like to at this time, we're on the Central Committee, Republican Committee. committee, if you would, stand at this time. Introduce them by name, but you can see on the program time. But anyway, I would like to thank this committee because they do a great job, and it's part of the political process. A lot of people don't realize that it's important to have a strong central committee. So if you're interested, run. And we do have some that I'll introduce later running this time around. Also, along with Kelly, talking about the judges, we have a sign-up sheet back here. If you would like to volunteer to help with the Republican Party, whether it be the headquarters, and I will tell you, Dennis Denalman's going to be our Republican headquarters coordinator this year, and we'll open up the headquarters after the primary. But if you'd like to volunteer to help out, just sign the sheet back there at the registration desk. We'd love to have all the volunteers we could to help. And Dennis, wave your hand, everybody knows you, but he'll be coordinating the headquarters this year. Thank you for that. Okay. So tonight, as we start hearing from the candidates, we are going to start with the U.S. Senate, and then we're going to go on to the congressman, and then go right on down to the governor, and right to lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, and we're going to do it by how they're on the official ballot, okay, or unofficial ballot at this time. And hopefully we can keep them to 3 to 5 minutes. Also, a little change. We're going to hear from Senator Hawley's people first, and the village section has a prior engagement tonight. He's our auctioneer. And so we're going to stop after Senator Hawley. We're going to auction these 6 items back here. We have a cooler, Yeti Tundra cooler. We have a fire pit. We have an Ozark Wings hunt. And we have 4 Cardinal baseball tickets. And I'm missing something else. We got a hand-blown hummingbird seed. That just helps us to offset the cost of this event. And we have the Brassfield Farms. You'll all want to vote or bid on this. It's a $250 value of pork and beef package. And they've got the meat here out in the cooler. So you got to go home and barbecue tonight. Okay. So we're going to do that earlier than we usually do. And there's another reason. All you politicians need to get your checkbooks out. We need to raise some funds, okay? But first of all, I'd like to introduce Senator Hawley's Southwest Missouri coordinator, and Serinda Dudley. She's going to come and introduce his surrogate speaker.
Very brief. I would say if there's anything I could do for any of y'all, please don't hesitate to contact me. And I'm going to introduce Colonel Jack Jackson. And he reminded me, did I know about Johnny Carson? And so I'm not going to say, here's Johnny, but I'm going to say, here's Jack.
Well, thank you. And Senator Hawley sends his warmest regards. He needs you, he understands that, and he's counting on you. I was at an event earlier, and some of the folks were there, and one of the folks asked me, this doesn't count as time, Mr. Williams. Said, hey, did you win the Josh Hawley Lookalike Award? And I said, no, he's taller than me. That dog didn't hunt either. But he sends his warmest regards. He is fighting a fight that you cannot, well, you can't believe because you're involved. I met some old friends back here, Jim and Lisa, and they have been in it, and I think Mr. Bailey's here. Wendell? And this doesn't count my time either. When I got into politics, Wendell gave me some of the best advice I've ever heard of. And he said, Jackson, quit whining if you got bad publicity. Just make sure they spell your name right. And that counts. Good to see you, sir. Senator Howell is fighting the fight for the state of Missouri, and I got to tell you, folks, they're after him. He's one of the top 3 senators that Schumer, the bobblehead for Biden, who hasn't seen the ball since the kickoff, is, now you think about that a minute, good for him. He hasn't seen, and he's fighting the fight, the conservative fight that we here in Missouri live our lives by. Let me give you an example. He's not taking any prisoners when it comes to our Social Security and our Medicaid. He's not letting these immigrants get into our schools and teach that. When I say he's one of the top 3, he's number 1. They're after Cruz out of Texas and Scott out of Florida. When Senator Hawley said, how many of you watch him on the news, this and that? Isn't he great? Yeah, go ahead. I'll tell you applause for all his speech. He's there. Make no mistake about it, he is there. And some people say, well, you know, can you imagine what the fight he's got to fight? Whoa. And one of the things that he had to just take the Biden to woodshed was about the Israelis. You know, I'm a God-fearing man, and if you read the Old Testament, maybe you don't, but you should. They're God's chosen people. They're going to win this. All you got to do is read the last book of the Bible, and you'll find out they win, and Josh understands that. He's a God-fearing man. He also says, and I've told this story, and for those of you who've heard it before, I got to tell it again, because every state, Josh says, is a border state. Let me tell you how that came home to roost to me, and then Mr. Williams, I was set down. Because this is when I really got on board for Josh, although I helped him last time. But how many of you recall that young female nursing student at the University of Georgia that was murdered by another woman? Let me see your hands. That's all right, huh? You all remember. I heard it on the news. A sophomore at the University of Georgia was murdered by an illegal immigrant that crossed the border in Texas. Folks, I got a granddaughter named Grace, who's a sophomore at the University of Georgia. It was a day and a half before I finally got a hold of her father, my son, to find out if she was okay. How many grandparents do I have? I mentioned my granddaughter's name, Grace. You pick one of your grandchildren's name and put it in there. And then tell me Josh isn't fighting the battle against war. He's there for you. We can count on him. And he needs you. He's a point in his spirit. I'm going to close real quick, Mr. Williams, before you run me off with the stick. I told Josh I'd like every politician says, I want God to bless America, and they sit down. I look around this room, and some of you I know, and some I don't. But every one of you, I understand this. I want God to bless you. Because when He's blessed you, He's blessed America. Thank you.
Colonel Jackson, we thank you for your service, sir. Okay, Billy, we're going to turn it over to you because we need to get this show on the road. In the past, we've had a lot more auction items. This year, we limited it because we would like, and we appreciate all the support we get from all the bidders. So, if you don't know Billy Sexton, he's one of the premier auctioneers in the area. And he's our Southern Commissioner. He's getting ready to retire on us. So this is his last thing here as auctioneer. Maybe not. We may get you back. We may get you back. If Billy Sexton.
Before we auction these items off, I would like to take time to, it's been a privilege and an honor to serve people in Howell County. I graduated here in West Plains in 1977. I've never dreamed that serve any kind of state or county job. But, 14 years ago, I had the opportunity to become a commissioner of Howell County, and I would just like to take this time to thank each and every one of you for that honor and that privilege. I thank you very much. It's a hard thing to quit. I enjoy it. I love it. I enjoy the people. Mary and I love our job. We enjoy this, but there come time. So, and I've got Ralph and the other boys pretty well straightened out. I've got them kind of going the right way. And so we're in good hands. We got a great county. We're very blessed. We love each other and good times. So anyway, John, I've got 6 items.
Jason Smith. Congressman Smith is David Evans.
Just a quick announcement before I get to that. Got a call about an hour and a half ago. Dean Clocker's Speaker of the Missouri House is doing a tour across the state. We'll be here Monday. Where's Chester today? Somewhere at the courthouse, I'm not quite sure. But they're coming down, so if anybody wants to go down and see that, you're welcome. He's going to talk about the highlights of this year's session. It should be a pretty short speech. This is Jason. I'll try to speak with the passion he has, but it won't be much good. It's in first person, as Jason would say. Howell County, it's been such an honor to represent you in Washington, D.C. Again, I'm speaking as Jason. Last weekend, I made sure Missouri's voice was heard loud and clear in Congress. I voted against sending more aid to Ukraine, and I voted for sending Israel additional funding to make sure they have the resources both to defeat the terrorist group Hamas and the Iranians. The administration's decisions are a disaster, and the best thing we can do for America is to defeat Joe Biden in 2024. Joe Biden is the most incompetent, corrupt, and compromised president in my lifetime. Everything he's done while I've been in office has created a crisis with open borders, reckless spending, skyrocketing inflation, and reliance on other countries for our energy. America needs Donald J. Trump back in the Oval Office. I was with President Trump last week, and he's ready. He's going to be leading the fight for us. I'm proud, again, Jason, to chair Missourians for Trump for the third straight cycle. And I told him during our meeting that Missouri is Trump country. Friends, I'm excited for this fall, and I promise you, I will fight to ensure we elect a Republican House, a Republican Senate, President Trump, and we have a clean Republican sweep for our state offices in Missouri. Our nation cannot afford 4 more years of this disastrous leadership. Thank you for all you do for Howell County, for Republicans, for this country, and for God. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Jason Smith.
Thank you. Our next speaker for the 8th District Congressional candidate is Grant Howell.
First of all, I want to thank John and Lisa and the group putting together Lincoln Days and then the women's thing this afternoon I was at, so I appreciate the exposure. Most of you, probably all of you, do not know who I am. My name is Grant Howell. I'm running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. As a freshman in high school, we moved from Nebraska. I was raised on a farm, and in Missouri, we continued that tradition, I guess. I graduated high school and then went to UMR, which is University of Missouri-Rolla, with an engineering degree. I taught school for a brief amount of time, chemistry and math. And then I followed up with what I was studying as an engineer. I worked nuclear power plants in different states. And from there, I bought up farm ground. I didn't enjoy the engineering as much as I thought I would. And so I liked the freedom of the farm, and so I moved back to Missouri, close to my parents. And I also small business. 10,000 SKUs to about 500 SKUs, which made my life a lot easier. I got to enjoy my family. I'm a husband. I'm a wonderful wife of 35 years. I had 3 kids. They all live within a radius of 30 miles from me, and from the Salem area. I was living a dream, and that dream is starting to fade because of what's going on in the federal government. We are under attack in all different places. We have fires that it's just too numerous to even mention. But we have a problem with our finances. We're on a pace of every 100 days, $1 trillion in debt that we cannot pay back. We're at $35 trillion in debt right now, and we cannot pay it back. And it's adding every 100 days, $1 trillion. And that's a huge problem. People can't wrap their mind around it. Yet we have people in the House that keep voting these spending bills. We went from pre-COVID level spending in 2019 up 40%. We're up 40%. We're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. We're up 40% from 2019 spending. And the last spending bill that was voted on the House floor continued that train wreck. There's experts out there that don't know when the train's going to wreck, but it's going to happen if we keep doing the same things. There's also a border that the House said that they promised that they would close. Well, it's open as it always has been. The spending bill that was voted on the floor continued to open this thing. Bottom line, that spending bill gave our supposedly president all the money that he needed to continue his programs, whether it be wokeness in the government, wokeness in the military, where we cannot get people recruited anymore because of CRT and DEI. This is a mess. We have the FBI is funded through the spending program, and it continues to fund weaponization of our pre-ready agencies. They should be all dismantled, and new leadership should be involved in this. If I was on the floor, I would be subpoenaing these people that are not elected, and when they open their mouth and try to get around what I'm trying to ask them, I'm going to ask for proof in the documentation what they are saying and prove what they're saying, because I do not trust them. I don't trust the intelligence agency. I don't trust these FBI agencies or this FDA. This pandemic we come across, it is a pandemic. It was designed, all this stuff was designed to take our leader out. There's one of the biggest moments in U.S. history, I think, will come down on record, is when this president that we had stole the election. I 100% believe that it's happening by design, and we're reaping the fruits of that. So there's consequences to elections, and there's catastrophic consequences to stolen elections, and that's what we're suffering right now. I want to represent you. I want to listen to you, but I understand the big picture, and I don't think these guys on the floor, I follow a lot of these Freedom House guys, and some of them are real good. I'm going to end this in about 30 seconds. Eli Crane was a colleague of Jason Smith. He said, why do you guys keep sending people up here, the same people, and we're fighting against Republicans. We're not even fighting against Democrats, we're fighting against Republicans. I'm running on change, and I'll give you a good change. I've not been in public office, but I've been in the real world for 62 years, and I know how to manage money. So I want to manage your money for you. I'm going to represent you court police here, and give me a chance. This card here, I give to a lot of people. If you don't have that, check it out. Check my Facebook out. Find out who I am. I don't expect you to vote for me today. Once you find out who if I'm representing you, you surely will vote for me and get the word out for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, as I said before, this is all on the unofficial ballot, way the order we're going. Next, we have Devin Daniels speaking for Bill Igo, running for governor.
the strong leadership that we need in Missouri. Missouri is way too purple than I would like to see it. We see a lot of things, a lot of bills get watered down to appease the Democrats. I think everyone's kind of tired of that and they're ready to see some actual true change happen in Missouri. I've got a speech from Bill that I'm going to read in lieu of him being here today. Bill is a husband, father, and a state senator from St. Charles. Bill and his wife Amanda are both Air Force veterans. Their son Kevin recently joined the Navy, and their daughter Lisa is a high school senior. After Bill fought overseas in the war on terror, he and Amanda became small business owners and managed to keep their small business afloat during the Great Recession in 2008. At the time, Bill wasn't at all interested in politics. Senator Howell often says he quickly learned that even if you aren't interested in government, government is interested in you. It wants to tax you, it wants to regulate you, and it wants to tell you how to live your life and run your business. When Obamacare was being forced on his small business, Bill decided to act. He was elected to the state Senate in 2016, the same year that the MAGA movement took hold and Donald J. Trump was elected to office. Bill was the first candidate for governor to endorse Donald J. Trump in 2024. During his time in the Senate, he's become the single most hated man among the lobbyists and special interests because he won't bow to their demands. In fact, the swamp hates him so much that this year, the rhinos in Senate leadership stripped him of the committee chairmanship, his parking spot, threatened to take away his office furniture, and even called for his expulsion from the Senate. He is truly a bold conservative warrior with the guts to stand up to the swamp and the spine to not back down. In Missouri, our problem isn't that we elect enough Republicans. Our problem is that we don't elect the right Republicans. We have far too many of these so-called campaign conservatives, people who campaign as conservatives and to get elected only to stab their voters in the back and govern like Democrats once in office. Because of this, Bill is a founding member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. The Freedom Caucus exists to push the conservative policies and expose the rhinos when they betray their voters and act like Democrats. You don't have to take my word for it either. CPAC puts up a scorecard grading legislators every year on how they vote. Senator Howell is ranked as the #1 most conservative senator currently serving in Missouri Senate. What about Texas? Does anyone know who Texas governor is? Greg Abbott? How many people in Texas and Florida know who our governor is? Why is that? Because those states have old conservative governors moving their state forward. Under an Howell administration, Missouri will be leading the charge. Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott will turn on their TVs at night to hear about the great things that Missouri is doing and wish their state could be more like Missouri. Missouri has more Republicans in our legislature than Florida and Texas do. There is no reason we can't get to that better Missouri that we actually do what we promised in campaign season. What are some of the big red things Bill Howell will do for Missouri that will make the others jealous of our state? We're going to eliminate personal property tax first and foremost. Bill Howell is the only candidate who wants to eliminate personal property tax. He is fond of saying that you shouldn't have to pay rent to the government every December for the crime of owning a car. Under an Howell administration, you will have paid your last personal property tax bill. We're going to ban all foreign ownership of Missouri land and take back Western laws. Bill is the only candidate who says that no foreign country should be able to buy any Missouri land. Missouri should be owned by Missourians or at least Americans. On immigration, 2 words: deport and detain. An Howell administration will detain and deport all the illegals flooding our state and will assist Texas in stopping the invasion at our southern border. Bill often says that if he has to buy a fleet of buses loaded up with illegals and drive a bus to the border himself, he will do it. He is looking for volunteers. After this, I'll be able to buy my truck if you guys want some after that. Bill Howell is a fierce defender of the Second Amendment and has filed a bill to outlaw any attempts to implement red flag gun seizures. Senator Howell has filed a bill to secure our elections by banning all those Joe Biden voter machines that nobody trusts and go back to hand-counting paper ballots that have worked very well in Missouri for nearly 2 decades. CPAC ranks Bill as the #1 conservative senator currently serving in the Missouri Senate. He's not just saying the right things. He's got a track record to prove it. An Howell administration will defend life and finally defund Planned Parenthood. Rhinos in the legislature have voted out the pro-life cause year after year by choosing to value certain federal dollars over innocent baby lives. Why do they do this? Because they're so reliant on money from Washington, D.C. to fund their political budget. Did you know that our state budget has doubled in the past 10 years? Did you know that 50% of our state budget comes from the federal government? Missouri is the most dependent state in the nation on Washington, D.C. for our budget. With federal money, there's always strings attached. In an Howell administration, we will chop the wasteful spending out of the budget so we can stand up to the tyrannical federal government. We will protect life at all costs. We will deliver tax cuts to Missouri, and we will start governing our state like a sovereign state. We'll be able to stand up to the federal government and protect our state from tyrannical mandates. Look at what Governor Abbott is doing down in Texas. The federal government told him he couldn't defend his state's southern border. Governor Abbott told them to fly a kite, and he's continued to defend the border. For Missouri to stand up against the Biden administration like Texas has done, we can't be so reliant on their money. The federal government is not going to save us. We need to get Donald Trump back in there to clean things out, but at the end of the day, the federal government is not going to save us. We need a bold, conservative governor who will stand up to the federal government, defend our state sovereignty, and protect Missourians from whatever craziness Washington, D.C. and Biden administration try to shove down our throat next. Bill Ivey not only has the courage and spine to be that governor, he's got a plan to do it. You can get more information and sign up to join the fight at BillIvey.com. I'll be around, would love the opportunity to visit with you further to help you get involved with Team Ivey. Thank you.
Okay, next is Jay Ashcroft.
Well, it is great to be back in Howell County. Some of you remember that when I was a little bit thinner and a little bit shorter, I lived in Howell County. My first job out of college was in Howell County. And because of that, I need to make sure that I mention the most beautiful woman that ever came out of Howell County, my wife, formerly Catherine Moore, Katie Ashcroft. I thank my in-laws for putting up with me and allowing me to be with them. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your Secretary of State for almost 8 years now. You know, it's an election year. So you're going to hear all sorts of stuff. People are going to say all sorts of stuff. We've already seen the TV ads, and frankly, most of them just aren't true. What I want to ask you to do is look at people's records. Look at what they've actually accomplished. You're going to hear people talking about securing our elections. As Secretary of State, according to the Heritage Foundation, I took our elections from being ranked 10th in the country to being in the top 3, to putting Missouri where other states came to us and said, how should we run our elections to do them well? And you have a great county clerk here. It's been great to work with her to do that. But, yeah. But it's not just on elections. It's on libraries and making sure that parents are in charge and that children aren't being pushed material that frankly is inappropriate for adults, much less little kids. When our legislature refused to act, I put forth a rule that said, you're not getting a dime from the state or from the federal government through my office as a library if you're not protecting children and putting parents first. When it comes to investing, in 49 states in this United States, it's legal to mislead your investor into an investment that makes not as much money for them, but supports some socially woke agenda that you have. I worked with the legislature to put a stop to that, but the Senate killed it. So I put out a rule and said if you're an investment advisor in Missouri and you don't tell and get acceptance, it's fraud and will come after you. Because I believe the people of Missouri should be in charge of their money and should be in charge of what they're doing. And talking about elections, we made the paper ballot the official ballot of the state. We finally had a government-issued photo ID requirement. We outlawed drop boxes. We outlawed sucker bucks. And if you want to talk about standing up to the federal government, the United States Department of Justice, and look, it's Howell County and you're polite, it's perfectly all right to boo when someone said United States Department of Justice, because that ain't true to say Department of Justice and the United States together. When the United States Department of Justice sent federal agents to 64 jurisdictions in 24 states, Missouri was the first and one of only 2 states to stand up and say, not so fast. Missouri knows how to run our elections. You're not going to be in our polling place. And they came in, they were double masked. This is in November of 2022. They had the purple gloves on their hands and they'd shake hands and they'd rub sanitizer on them. And they said, we're with the federal government and you can't stop us. And I had to admit they were right. But I said, my good friend the sheriff here can. And there's nothing more his deputies would like than to throw some federal agents in prison that think they can break the law instead of following it. And because of that, Missouri is the first and one of two states where the Department of Justice backed up, stayed on the sidewalk, followed the law, because Missouri knows how to run their elections. I'm running for governor because this state can do better. The people of this state deserve better, they're fighting for better, and they need elected officials that will do that. I'm fighting to make sure that parents are in charge of education, that the money goes to parents so that they can choose how their children are educated. They can work directly with teachers to make sure that their children are educated how they want. We've seen it happen in Iowa. We've seen it happen in Arkansas and Florida and other states like Arizona. We need to do that. Fewer than 25% of Missouri 8th graders are proficient in math and reading. As governor, I've vowed to put 1,000 new law enforcement officers on the streets in the first year. That's not enough. We need more. But I don't want to be the politician who uses a bigger number because it sounds better and it's not true. We need public safety. It's a core responsibility of government to make sure that people feel free to enjoy their liberty and make their own decisions. And number three, it's already been mentioned what's going on with the budget. It's ridiculous. I'm the only person running for governor that has an actual plan to get rid of Missouri's state income tax. So we quit subsidizing people that don't work, we quit subsidizing illegal aliens, and we quit penalizing people that work, because you should be rewarded for your work. And let me just say one thing, that the idea of foreign ownership of land has come up several times. I don't want to be impolite, but I'm the only elected official running for governor of the state of Missouri that has steadfastly opposed that. You'll see TV ads that say it differently. Go to my website and read the bills. The very same people saying that they stood against it voted for it. And last but not least, I think the greatest value that the Republicans stand for is life. And I am humbled to be endorsed by Missouri Right to Life, not because I believe in life, but I have led on that and always will. Thank you very much, and I would like to ask you for applause.
More agile than me, because I couldn't jump off that stage. Okay, moving right along. Next, we have representing Mike Kehoe, Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, is Janet Crow.
So this makes it a little more relaxed that I don't have to speak about myself. Mike and Claudia give their special regards tonight because they could not be here. They had 3 different engagements today and there was no possible way that they could get to West Point tonight, so they're certainly sorry that they couldn't make it. But they plan to get to Howell County pretty soon and see y'all. So let me read a little bit about Mike. Last month, Mike and Claudia visited our state's heroes, our Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers, serving our state and country on the U.S. border with Mexico. While on the border, Mike and Claudia saw firsthand the work our troopers do to stop illegal immigration. As governor, Mike Kehoe ensured Missouri continues to support Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. Mike believes we need to take care of our state's veterans and teachers first before we spend any money as a state on illegal immigrants. Mike also believes we need to raise penalties on those selling fentanyl to Missourians. He applauds Missouri House of Representatives who voted this week to do so. Fentanyl is the #1 killer of Missourians aged 18 to 45, and this problem all starts at our southern border. So a little bit about Mike. Mike's story is the American dream. While Mike grew up in challenging circumstances, he never let those circumstances get in the way of his dreams. Mike went from the wash rack at a car dealership to owning his own car dealership and building small businesses and employing hundreds of Missourians. Mike is a husband and a father with 4 adult children. When Mike and Claudia are not traveling the state, they can usually be found on their farm. Mike Kehoe has been endorsed by over 20 Missouri grassroots member-led organizations, including the Missouri State Troopers Association, the Fraternal Order of Police, the Missouri Farm Bureau, and nearly all major commodity groups. These member-led organizations represent over 200,000 Missourians, and their families believe Mike has the right skills to lead our state with conservative Christian family values. What Mike will do as our governor? Mike's #1 priority as our governor is to make Missouri the #1 state in the country for public safety. As governor, Mike Keno will always have the back of law enforcement officers and strong prosecutors. Mike also understands the necessity to get rid of George Soros-funded prosecutors across Missouri. Mike and Claudia are first-generation farmers. They understand the needs of rural Missouri and will be a voice for them as governor. This is why, as I had mentioned before, the Missouri Farm Bureau and all major commodity groups have endorsed Mike's campaign. Mike believes that Missouri must get back to the basics regarding education. While Missouri has an outstanding school districts, many are missing the mark. We must make sure that our Missouri school districts are educating our youth, not teaching the woke agenda. Mike believes that it's important that we help high school students find a career. As governor, Mike will also work to expand career and technical education options for our youth. I am supporting Mike Kehoe, and I suggest you go to mikekehoe.com and learn more about him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Our last governor candidate, if I'm not mistaken, is Chris Wright.
Can everybody hear me okay? Before I get started, if you're a veteran, first responder, or a teacher, can you please stand to be recognized? My name is Chris Wright. I come from Joplin, Missouri, and I'm running for governor. A little bit about my background, and I know you can't tell because of the beard, but I have 24 years in the military. I'm actually retiring in June, so nobody's going to tell me I'm going to shave ever again. And I know my wife won't because she loves this. Love you, baby. Got 9 years in law enforcement, 17 years as a business owner. I own a construction company, which is kind of morphed into a real estate investment company. I don't know how I did it, but I'm going to roll with it. So you're going to hear a lot of what I call campaign, candy, word salad, promises, but here's the fact of the matter. The governor, he or she, does not have all this magical power that they can do whatever they want. Most everything comes through the legislative body. So I'm going to make a promise to you. I'm going to work with the legislative body in a proactive manner, not a reactive manner, because we're very reactive right now and we're paying the piper for it. Here's a few things that I want to focus on as governor, and we've mentioned it before with some of the other candidates, and it's okay. We're all Republicans. We can have some of the same ideas, especially something as important as law enforcement, fighting crime, because here's what happens with crime. Crime goes around and consumes everything in its path, and it does not stop until it has consumed everything. And what is our first line of defense against crime? Law enforcement. We've got to support our law enforcement officers. The next one I'm going to talk about, utility rates. Now I know here in Howell County it's not that big of a deal because you're on a co-op, and if you don't like your co-op, be thankful you're on a co-op, because if you're on Liberty, Evergy, Ameren, Spire, those people are they're just getting daunted in their pocketbook with these utility companies. The governor appoints the Public Service Commission Board. I'm going to appoint regular, everyday, hardworking people to this Public Service Commission Board, because we have people who are on single incomes, we have fixed incomes. They have to choose between food and their utility rate. That's not right. The third one I want to talk about, and it's very simple. If you're a 4th grade math teacher, there's 2 things you worry about. 4th grade math curriculum and the safety of your students while they're with you in your classroom. All this other garbage doesn't belong in our schools. And it's like Jay said, our kids are not proficient in reading, writing, and arithmetic. We've got to change that. I want to reduce and overhaul DESE. DESE gets their marching orders from the federal government. The federal government is not sending down anything good for Missourians. The next one I want to talk about, and I spoke about this last year. We are number 3 in human trafficking. We are not doing enough in human trafficking. Every man in here, please look at me. It is your absolute duty to take care of the women and children in your life. Plain and simple. Fourth one, budget reduction. I don't need to talk more about the budget. Our budget's too big. How do we feed our budget? With tax money. We're never going to get significant tax breaks as long as we're feeding a record-setting budget. This one, it continues to baffle me, but it's single subject bills only. We have a lot of good legislators trying to do a lot of good work, and they're getting trumped by these bad legislators that just want to keep tacking more and more things onto these bills. It's unconstitutional. Here's the deal. I'm not a politician, but I'm a very successful businessman. I've had a stellar military career. I owe zero favors to anybody in Jefferson City. I'm not a part of the political apparatus, as you would say. I want truth and accountability. And if you want to talk about somebody who's fought against the federal government, I'll end with this. I was part of that group that got caught up in the mandates for the COVID shot in the military. But guess what I did? By myself, without the help of anybody in my state leadership or military leadership. I told them to go pound sand. I was not going to get that. I had to do it on my own. That's the type of person I am. Right is right, wrong is wrong. The most important thing I'm going to say tonight, Jesus is King. Thank you.
Can't argue with the last statement, in my opinion. Okay, if we move on to Lieutenant Governor, we have one candidate here tonight. That would be Tim Baker.
Pleasure, good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Baker, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I'm a father of 4 daughters. My lovely wife is with me tonight. We're celebrating 30 years this year of marriage. This year we actually celebrated our first grandson, so I'm starting to get a little more on my side with having a few more males in the house, which is nice. They let me have one male dog. But I'm a former businessman. My late parents and I, for 48 years, ran an ice plant in Pacific, which is in Franklin County, which is where I'm from, for 48 years. So I know what it's like to pull money out of my own pocket. I know what it's like to go without a paycheck. Selling ice is a lot like farming. You pray for good weather on the weekends, you hope the holidays are good, and it's hard to sell ice in January, February, and March. So you better know how to budget. So I have a lot of experience with that. I'm a current county clerk. I've been there for 5 years. We sold our business in 2011. And my whole background has been serving our community, whether it be through the chambers, through different organizations that we have always supported, United Way, Grace's Place. I currently sit on a bank board, but our whole life has been about service. So I wanted to run for an elected position. And I say elected position because I know that I work for the people, not the other way around. I'm not a politician. So I live in rural county, rural Franklin County, so I ran for presiding commissioner and lost. Learned a lot, got a lot of support. So 2 years later, I ran for commissioner again and lost. Still kept learning, ran a third time for commissioner and lost. I'm not the type of guy that gives up. So fourth time came around, I wanted to run for commissioner because I wanted to be a commissioner. Went to my wife and I said, babe, I want to run to be a commissioner. And she said no. And a good friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, why don't you run for county clerk? Our county clerk of 16 years is retired and it's an open seat, so why don't you've been doing well, why don't you try your hand at that? I said, no way, I do not want to be a county clerk, I want to be a commissioner. And as the old saying goes, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. I ran for county clerk and won 67% of the vote. Found out that I absolutely love elections, and actually with my background in business, I've saved over $700,000 in my office in real taxpayer money by going every year to my commission starting out with a zero budget and working my way up and going with what I need with not I want. Because I got sick and tired of everybody always saying, one, well, that's the way it's always been done. And two, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's not how I believe. If we need it, we need it. If we don't, we don't. So with that, I've been able to save that kind of money. The other thing I've been able to do is I've also had a better chain of custody with our ballots, keeping our election safe and secure. I'm very proud of that. Since I've been in office, the other thing that I'm extremely proud of is that this last year we received an award from MAC. So all the county officials in here that are part of MAC probably know that we won the award for education. we devised a book to go into 3rd and 4th grade classes to talk about civics. And with that, we're teaching these 3rd and 4th graders about civics. And not only are we teaching the kids, we're actually teaching the teachers, because a lot of teachers don't even know what the county government does. And 2 of the things that I do whenever we get done is I always tell them these things. 1, remember that it's we the people. There are 4 million registered voters out there in the state of Missouri. There's only 1,300 elected officials. And as I said earlier, I say I'm an elected official because I do not like the word politician, and I tell these students that. Our job is to work for you, not the other way around, and they flip that. The other thing that I've told them that they flip is that we're a republic, not a democracy. And we said it tonight whenever we said the pledge. To the republic for which I stand, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. One nation under God. That's the whole basis of our whole foundation that's cracked right now. We need him more than he needs us. We need good people in office that have those foundational means to do that. My whole campaign is on back to the basics with Baker. I believe in that. My offices believe in that. We know we work for you. If I'm elected lieutenant governor, I'll work for you and I'll work hard for you. Last thing I'd like to really push for what one of the things Lieutenant Governor does, and I'm very proud that I would do, is the Buy Missouri program. I want to get in rural Missouri and start working, and how do we get these vacant buildings to be more productive units for your communities. And I want to start working with existing businesses in there and/or entrepreneurs to start working with vacant buildings. It'll also help our crime, with squatters that we have, with the drug issues, because we're going to be working with cleaning up our communities. But starting from the inside out instead of the outside in. Rural Missouri always seems to be the one that gets left behind. And I want to work with you all on that. So my name is Tim Baker. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I would appreciate your consideration in August. And as I would tell everybody, please do your research on everybody, not just my race, but all races. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move right into the Secretary of State. First on the ballot would be Valentina Gomez.
Good evening, Howell. Great to be here. It is a blessing. First of all, to be honest, I mean, some of these people have the nerve, these groups have the nerve to show up here, to lie to your face, and then stab you in the back a couple of months from now. So that's first things first. I'm 25 years old, and I've already achieved more success, more achievements than all of these corrupt clowns combined. And let's talk about my endorsements. Congressman Matt Gaetz, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, Mike Knowles, Students for Trump. And on Monday, I will be with the CEO of Turning Point, Charlie Kirk, talking about how we're going to take Missouri back from all these corrupt clowns that have sold us out to their special interests and have allowed for pedophiles and for groomers to infiltrate our schools and our libraries. I'm a former NCAA Division I college swimmer. Fluent in multiple languages, graduated college at 19, and earned my MBA in finance from Tulane University at 21, with full athletic scholarships. I am the American dream on steroids. It's true. And many of these corrupt clowns hate me because I expose their disgusting and terrible voting record. They are communist Democrats posing as Republicans. And this is not rocket science. We are abolishing the corrupt voting machines. We're doing single-day voting, paper ballots, no mail-in ballots except for our military and the disabled. And I will be defunding every single library across the state that is putting pornographic material on the shelves.
Yes.
So Missouri, the choice is yours. Do you want crooks like Plucker? Sellouts like Red Jacket, homewreckers like Coleman, or do you want a God-fearing patriot who will never sell you out, who's going to do the right thing and reject the millions of dollars that has already been offered to my campaign, and who's going to do the right thing for you and for your children by putting you first? Don't forget that all of the millions that they have fundraised comes with special interest, comes with them sacrificing you. So the choice is yours. God bless our children. God bless Missouri. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Okay, the next candidate, Secretary of State, is Shane Scholler.
Well, it's great to be with you here tonight in Howell County. Again, my name is Shane Scholler. I get the honor to serve as the county clerk in Greene County, Missouri. And so I'm Kelly's counterpart over there, Tim's counterpart, of course, in Franklin. And of course, my good friend Dennis, who did it for many years as well here in Howell. You know, my very first election as county clerk, I literally had someone who made the decision to vote twice. So when I talk about secure, accurate, fair elections, I know what I'm talking about. We took that evidence to our sheriff. The sheriff did the investigation. They found out the person didn't need to vote twice. They gave that to a prosecutor, and that person was held accountable, exactly as they should have been. During my time as county clerk, I've had the honor to serve as the president of the County Clerk Association. And during that period of time, I helped write the election integrity bill as the president of the association. And I fought to make sure we had the paper ballot, which I stood for when I was in the legislature, to make sure it was the official ballot, to make sure that the photo ID bill that I passed in the House made sure it was the actual ID we used. We got rid of those paper forms of documentation that were so easily counterfeited, so that when you show up to vote, we can't ID with your official photo ID. And we also made sure that we acted and did not react. We got rid of the drop boxes, meaning they're not coming to our state like we saw in other states like Georgia, where we saw the issues that they had in the state of Georgia. Those were important things. But you know what I've learned as county clerk? I bet Kelly would tell you this, Dennis would tell you this, Tim would tell you this. The most important things to election, the most important thing is transparency and accountability. Everyone in this room, you're empowered to be part of the election. You know, Kelly, when you mentioned election judges, how many have served as election judges in this room? Raise your hand high. Folks, let's give them a round of applause. I've got an election judge who this year, this is the 7th year, 7 years she serves as election judge. Her name's Marjorie. She does an amazing job because she loves her country and she's committed. And that's what we need, is people coming around and making sure that their eyes are on the process. Because I can't be in every polling location, but you can be. I can't be there when every absentee ballot is counted, but you can be. We can do that together with our bipartisan counterparts. For example, in 2020, we had a race for a state legislative seat that was less than 0.5% difference. Out of almost 18,000 ballots cast, there were 76 votes that separated the top two candidates. You know what I did? I didn't shut the shades. I didn't cover up the windows so people couldn't see. I literally called the candidates, I called the party chairs, and I invited everyone in the media to come watch a hand count. And literally watched every ballot counted so that we certified that election. Guess what happened? There were no questions. That's because we had transparency and accountability. We were doing it together. I can do that as your Secretary of State. But I also know that there's more we can do. How many would be surprised that when we get our absentee ballots returned, that you would know that it's not the state law, we verify the signature? And was it best practice? Absolutely. Kelly does that, and Dennis does that, and Tim does it, I do that. But folks, guess what happens? If someone chooses not to check those signatures, there's nothing we can do to hold them accountable in the law. We need to get that in our state statute. We also need to make sure that we make it crystal clear that if you're going to vote in any election in the state, you must be a citizen of this great nation. Absolutely, you can clap for that. It's time to stand up. But I'm going to take you back to election night 2000. How many remember election night 2000? How many people think of Florida? Now, Dennis, I know you remember election night 2000. You were there. But how many remember what happened in the city of St. Louis that night? You remember they held the polls open until 10 o'clock that night? So when you stopped voting here in Howell County at 7 o'clock, they kept voting for an additional 3 hours. Well, guess what happened the night before? Congressman Bill Clay, his son Lacey Clay was running. He was at a rally, and he said at that rally, if we have to hold the polls open past 7 o'clock, we'll do it. Well, guess what? They put a petition for the court in St. Louis. They put a petition for court in Kansas City. The one in Kansas City was rejected, the one in St. Louis was upheld. And by the way, it's on behalf of a dead man, just so you know. But it was accepted, the polls were held open, but guess what happened at 6:30 that night? People were in their homes back when we had answering machines, remember those days? They began to get round of phone calls. And you know what the round of phone calls was from? Jesse Jackson, telling them that they could continue to vote past 7 o'clock. Then after 7 o'clock, guess what happened? Vice President Al Gore began to then call into people's homes, telling them they could continue to vote past 7 o'clock. Here's my point, they knew what they were doing. But here's the saddest part. How many votes did Jim Talent lose by that night? About 20,000 votes. How many votes did John Ashcroft lose by that night when he was running for the U.S. Senate? About 50,000 votes. Folks, they knew exactly what they were doing. But who was the Secretary of State that night in 2000? Her name is Becky Cook. She replaced Judy Moriarty. Governor Mel Carney had appointed Becky Cook because Judy Moriarty got to keep her in office because she let her son file 5 minutes past the filing period to run for state rep. Guess who wasn't there in the circuit court to say if the voters in Howell County have to stop voting at 7 o'clock, then the voters in the city of St. Louis will stop voting at 7 o'clock. Folks, it's more than just about the shenanigans you hear in terms of the other parts of the election. Folks, we're going to check the machines by making sure that we have testing, pre-testing, post-testing, auditing, but they understand so many more things when it comes to taking elections. That was exactly what they did election night 2000, and as your Secretary of State, I have that knowledge, I have that understanding, and I will stand up and fight for you to make sure that the rules are fair, that everything is accountable, and that it's transparent exactly as you would expect your Secretary of State to do. And that's what I've done in Greene County as a county clerk there, and I will continue to do that for your Secretary of State. I ask you to vote this August 6th. Thank you.
Okay, our next candidate is Adam Shawandran. Did I get that right? Some of these names, the next one's going to be tough. I'll get some fresh.
Start my timer for your consideration. How are you all doing this evening? My name's Adam Schwaldron. I'm from St. Charles, Missouri. I'm a state representative from there. I'm also a small business owner. I'm also a husband of 15 years and a father to 2 wonderful girls. You can see the look at their picture on my banner right over here. They're cute as can be. Thank God they take after their mother. So I'm running to be your next Secretary of State. And you've already heard quite a few things that we've accomplished here in Missouri. And it's been an absolute privilege while serving in the House, serving on the House Elections Committee, to be a part of working on that legislation, to require hand-marked paper ballots, to require photo IDs when you go vote, to ban mail-in ballots, to ban drop boxes, ban ballot harvesting. In this race, I have the most conservative record of anyone else, as judged by the American Conservative Union, a lifetime score of 90. My record shows that I will be the Republican, conservative enough and courageous enough to stand up for your rights, and I will do that all day, every day. When it comes to voter registration, no longer should we have bloated voting rolls filled with people long moved or dead. When my father passed away in 2011, he lived in St. Louis County. I made sure that he was removed because as a lifelong Republican, I think it would have killed him a second time had he found out he ended up voting for a Democrat. And that is why I have proposed that we have our voter registration expire at the same time as your photo ID. So when you go and renew your photo ID, you can renew your voter registration. That way, we are keeping our voter rolls clean. Cities in several states have allowed non-citizens to vote. That should not be allowed here in Missouri. And that is why I am the only candidate in this race to sponsor legislation to ensure non-citizens can never vote in this state. And I am proud to say that we will see that on our ballot this year. You will have the opportunity to say no, non-citizens cannot vote in Missouri. A couple years ago, Nancy Pelosi and the wanted to implement all the things that we have since banned in this state. The mail-in ballots, the ballot harvesting, all of that, the drop boxes. Well, in response, I wrote legislation that would prohibit them from coming into Missouri. Missouri's elections are ours to run, and any attempt by the federal government to tell us how to do it will be met with resistance, and I will use my size 15 boot to kick them out of this state personally. There's a lot more work to be done. Let's get it done. My name's Evan Schwadron, running for Secretary of State. I'd appreciate your support and vote in August so that together we can fight for our shared Missouri values. And further, if you have any questions, the literature on the table, at the bottom on the back, is my personal cell phone number. Feel free to give me a call. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next candidate for Secretary of State is being represented tonight. His name is Denny Hoskin, and he's been represented by Carson Wayman.
Hello everyone, my name is Carson Lyman, and I'm here on behalf of State Senator Denny Hoskins, who's running for Secretary of State. Unfortunately, he could not make it tonight. His daughter's graduating high school, or else he would have been here. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, you're so young, why do you come to these events? I'm a 20-year-old college student. I get a free dinner like this. I mean, I'm gonna get it the best I can. That's fine. You know, that is not great. But anyways, a little bit about Denny. He's from Warrensburg. He's a certified public accountant, and also a veteran of the Missouri Law Enforcement Department. Denny is the only candidate for Secretary of State endorsed by Missouri Rights Life for its conservative, pro-life voter. As a founding member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, Denny is a conservative fighter in the Missouri Senate. Last year, he passed a state act to ban transgender surgeries on kids, and also co-sponsored a bill to ban boys playing with girls' sports. This year, he has been fighting to make it a state crime for illegals to be in Missouri. If President Biden won't protect the border and enforce our current federal laws, then Denny will find and deport illegals back to wherever they came from. Now, I don't have a size 15 boot like Adam does. I got a size 12, it's a little bit smaller, but I'll help out as much as I can with that. But anyways, as Secretary of State, Senator Hoskins will focus on election integrity. He believes that most secure elections are in person on election day with voter ID and paper ballot. He also believes non-citizens should not be able to vote in Missouri, and no, he does not trust election machines. If you did not know, the Secretary of State is also in charge of public libraries. Unfortunately, some public libraries have X-rated material in the kids section. As Secretary of State, Senator Hoskins will defund any public libraries that have X-rated material. It should not be in the kids section, and your taxpayer dollars should not be paid for that. Denny would appreciate your vote and support for Secretary of State on August 6th. You can find out more about Senator Hoskins at dennyhoskins.com. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Okay. Well, next we have the state treasurer candidates. We have one tonight being represented by our own former state treasurer, Wendell Bailey, and that's going to be, and I'll get his name wrong, Vivek Maley. Hey, Wendell, I'll tell you, Jack there, Jack Maley, your grandson said we both get it wrong.
Thank you very much. Let's try Maley. That's his name. That's our treasurer. That's the treasurer of the state of Missouri, appointed by the governor. He's on the board of directors at Cape Girardeau in the Southeast Missouri State University over there. He's an attorney. He's an excellent person, and I think he's excellent because he hired Jackson Bailey just back there, and this is Jackson's mother, grandmother, Jane Bailey, and his proud father, John Bailey. So now we're getting all these names down back. Now, what name are we remembering? Malin. Malin? The treasurer of the state of Missouri, who came here. Travis, tell us about MoBucks just got increased by up to $1.2 billion. Now that's for low interest loans that we call MoBucks. This started in 72 when interest rates were 22%. Remember those days? And we could get a MoBuck loan for 9%. I had a farmer get off his roof and come down and said, "You saved my family farm." It was a horrendous situation, and it's been expanded and moved again. Travis was just telling us about that. So then the other thing that you ought to remember is that when you get your newspaper, look for your name in it. It's called unclaimed property. Unclaimed property. And there's all those lists of all that money that doesn't belong to the state, it belongs to the people, and it's called unclaimed property, and it'll be listed in your newspaper. So those are the two things I want you to remember, and Treasurer Malin is who we're supporting. Right, Jackson?
Sounds good.
Okay, Jackson Bailey.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. I can remember when Wendell Bailey ran for Congress, and won, I'll mention. Yeah. He was on the back of a tailgate of a pickup, gave a stump speech down in Oregon County years ago. We did it. Oh. Okay. So now we're going to move into, that's a good segue, our state Senate candidates for the 33rd State Senate. The first one on the ballot will be Travis Smith.
Thank you all. Pleasure to be here tonight. Travis Smith, for those of you all who don't know me, I'm a fifth-generation person born in Howell County, moved over to Douglas County, and now I'm a state rep over there. But before I came a state representative, I was also a small business owner and always involved with my community. But once I sold my small business, I wanted to take that service level to the next level and run for state rep. And as a state rep, I've done some things I'm really proud of. And number one is protect the unborn. I remember the first time I ever heard my daughter's heartbeat. And I knew that wasn't a blob. I knew that just wasn't a mass of cells. That was a human being. And my wife, we weren't married at the time, we were trying to make that decision on what to do, and I heard that heartbeat, and I knew life was very important. And I'm glad we made that decision, because that young lady today is a nun serving in inner city Kansas City. I'm proud of her. She loves the Lord like we do. 2A, Second Amendment. Citizens have the right to protect themselves. Like where I live in Douglas County, it would take 30 to 45 minutes for the sheriff to get there. That's not a knock against law enforcement. That's just the way it is. Someone asked me one time, "Do you have any ARs?" And I said, "Of course I do." And they said, "You don't need those to hunt." And I said, "I do not need those to hunt. I need those to protect myself from someone who's going after me. And the government should not be more equipped than what citizens are." I believe that from the bottom of my heart. School choice. Parents know what's best for their kids. Right now, there are 46 other states in this country that already have some form of school choice. We talk about being a show-me state. Unfortunately, that means we're asking other states to show us how to do something. I'm tired of Missouri being that last seat. We need to start being innovative. In school choice, we need to get on train and then start working on the business. Business, economic development, something I truly believe in. We have way too many rules and regulations in this state. Right now, currently, we have over 186,000 rules and regulations. We talked about maybe getting rid of 2 bills for every one we got. Folks, if we got rid of 2 bills every day, 365 days of the year for 15 years, that would only get rid of 3% of that regulation. We need to tone that down. There's no reason that we have that many rules and regulations in the state of Missouri. Illegals, we voted to help fund the National Guard to protect our border. We don't need sanctuary cities, we don't need them voting, and we certainly don't need them squatting on our properties. Broadband, if there was one good thing that came from broadband, we found out about 80% of us could work from home. Unfortunately, you can't work from home if you don't have good broadband. And right now, 20% of Missourians do not have access to high-speed internet. 60% of those 20 live in southwest Missouri. So I'm thankful that we got our co-ops to start working on that. We've already laid the first 1,000 miles of line. We always talk about, I hear from the education department, help us with the kids. Folks, from the time a kid starts kindergarten till the time they graduate high school, the local, county, state, and federal government have invested about $600,000 in tax dollars. So every 10 kids that we have leave the area, think about this, we lose $6 million in investment. We have to have broadband here so our kids can stay and work and be close to their parents and their grandparents. The Senate, what are my goals? I want to run my office like a business. And my customers are my constituents. I think there's nothing more important than for us to stay in communication with the people who vote us in there. Far too often people go up there, they get their own ideas, and they forget about you. I have done an excellent job, I feel, in my heart, not only talking to my constituents, also talking to elected officials. I see Herman over there tonight. Riggs is here, Topper, Janet. Just this week, I have called them and asked them about certain issues we're talking about on the floor. We have to have communications with our local officials to make sure we're doing the right thing. Unfortunately, in Jeff City, there was a couple of jokes tonight about the Senate not getting stuff done. We have way too much infighting. And the problem I see is that we've got people pointing fingers at each other. And one thing I learned from Joe Bill Dixon was, don't tell me about the problem, tell me what the solution is. And we constantly use the word that we've got to be in a compromise with each other. If you're compromised in a compromising position, that is not where you want to be. We need to get to a state where we cooperate with each other. That is super important with me because I want to move this state forward into a great direction, and I would certainly appreciate your vote August 6th for State Senate in the 33rd District. Thank you, and God bless Missouri.
Okay, thank you. Our next candidate is for State Senate for District 33, Brad Hudson.
All right, thank you, Howell County. It is good to be here this evening. When I get started here, I want to introduce a couple people here that are real special to me. There's a lady back there wearing a Brad Hudson t-shirt that's going to be taking some pictures. That is my wife, and if she puts up with me until November, it'll be 25 years. So give her a round of applause for that. We've got our son Daniel here with us. Our daughter could not be here, but I'm glad to have my wife and son here, and I appreciate their support and everything they mean to me. So I am running for State Senate. I am Brad Hudson. I was raised on a farm. I grew up fixing fence, hauling hay, working cattle. I accepted the call to preach and teach the gospel of Jesus Christ in 2005, and I have been ever since. I'm a pastor. I know that our rights do not come from government. Our rights come from God. It's the elected officials' responsibility to acknowledge and protect those God-given rights. The first of which is the right to life. I have pushed and helped pass bold pro-life legislation in Jefferson City. I have co-sponsored legislation to keep your tax dollars from going to abortion providers. I have been leading the charge to protect our Constitution from partial birth abortion, and I am the one and only candidate for Missouri State Senate District 33 that is endorsed by Missouri Right to Life. I believe in the Second Amendment. I have worked to expand gun rights. I may be a simple country preacher, but I know what shall not be infringed means.
I introduced legislation to protect Missouri from the invasion that we have of illegal immigrants coming across the border. I want to tell you folks, we cannot depend on Joe Biden and Washington, D.C. to protect us from this. Our elected officials must be doing things at the state level. There are some things that we can do. I have introduced legislation to do that, and I will continue to lead the charge for that in the state Senate. I helped write something called the SAFE Act, Saving Adolescents from Experimentation. And that is now the law of the land in Missouri. I handled it in the House, as I said, I helped write it. What that has done is it's made it illegal in the state of Missouri for kids under the age of 18 to be exposed to transgender drugs and surgeries. There is no one in Jefferson City that has done more, that is doing more to stand up against the woke left than I. During the fight to pass the SAFE Act, I was called into an office on the 3rd floor of the Capitol, and I was told words to this effect: "You are the most hated Republican by the Democrats in the House right now." I looked back at the gentleman that said that, and I said, well, that must mean I'm doing something right then. Folks, we are living in a day and an age when this is not merely a political battle. We are fighting a spiritual battle. There is a spiritual battle going on. We've got folks that are calling good evil and evil good. And we need elected officials that are willing to dig in their heels and refuse to compromise when it comes to our God, our platform, and our values. I have proven that I will do that in the State House, and I will do it in the State Senate. When some of my colleagues voted with Democrats to enact the most an unconstitutional tax increase, the likes of which this state had never seen, I refused to go along with it. I opposed it, and I worked later to try and repeal it. I have been awarded the distinction once again of conservative excellence from the CPAC folks. Now you might be looking at me and saying, all right, we get it, Representative. We get it, Pastor. You're a conservative. But can you get stuff done? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I have worked with folks on the Missouri Tourism Commission to help West Plains get over $54,000 for the Eclipse festival that took place not too long ago. I have worked with individuals to get more money for Howell County because of the work that I have done on the Budget Committee. I got a whole lot of bills hanging on my wall in Jefferson City, 207A. I'd love for you to come by sometime. I might be on a campaign trail because we're not in session right now. But if we ever get the chance, I'd love to show you that. One of those bills went from the House to the Senate to the governor's desk without being amended. Not one change was made to that. Imagine that. A single subject bill that looked the very same the day the governor signed it as it did the day I introduced it. Stuff like that doesn't happen if you can't get stuff done. I have proven you can hold to conservative principles and be an effective legislator. I have done it in the House, I'll do it in the Senate, but I need your help to get there. My name is Brad Hudson. I covet your prayers, and I would appreciate your vote. God bless y'all.
I don't think we're going to quite make my goal of 8:30, but we're getting close. Okay. Next will be the state representative candidates from the District 154. And first on the ballot is Lisa Darnell. Darnell.
But I am going to use a few notes. I am actually more like you. I am just a regular citizen who sees a problem with the way things are headed in our country. And I've had so many conversations with people over the last 4 years especially, and they don't like where we're headed. And they say, somebody needs to run. Somebody needs to run. Well, after some prayer and discussion with my husband and more prayer, I decided to throw my name in the hat. So, my name is Lisa Darnell, and I am running for state representative. I am an unapologetic Christian conservative, and I'm a lifelong resident of South Central Missouri. I've grown up in the Mountain View area, but I'm now residing in Willow Springs, and I am happily married to this gentleman over here. Raise your hand, please. He loves being in the spotlight, I'm telling you. For 32 years almost, he has put up with me, and we do actually have great heads on their shoulders. They're conservatives. They're married to conservatives. They go to church. They are active in their churches. They're great human beings, and I think that's a huge success for us. I want to take a minute and thank Judge Evans. I didn't see where he was sitting. Back there. Thank him for his service in this position and wish him well in his retirement. In reflecting upon tonight's theme, which I did have a little bit of a hint because I worked with Janet Harrison, and I knew it was going to be fighting for America. And I just got to thinking about that, and one word kept coming to mind, and that word was courage. I saw a quote recently that said, "The secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage." And I think we're at a point in the history of our country where we need courageous individuals to step up and try to rebuild the broken parts of our government. And that way we can maintain our freedoms. But it's going to take somebody who is not only courageous, but someone who's moral, ethical, and honest. And someone who puts the representation of the people over any greedy ambitions or ulterior motives. A patriotic person who wants to see our constitutional rights vigorously defended and protected. So what does courage look like for a state representative in Jeff City? It looks like someone who always remembers who they represent. It looks like someone who doesn't accept the enticements of lobbyists and big money groups in exchange for a vote. It looks like someone who wants to campaign as a conservative and then go to Jeff City and consistently vote like one. Based on the conversations I've had with people across this district, that is what they really want. So what's my platform? It's going to be pretty familiar to you if you are in touch with a conservative Christian candidate. I want to protect our constitutional rights. They're being attacked daily. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, our right to privacy, and even as they debated the education bill, Senate Bill 727, there was arguably wording in there that caused concern over the Second Amendment rights of homeschooling parents. Number two, protecting our children and unborn babies. We do have to stop any of this nonsense, and I'm so thankful for Brad's bill that he got passed, the SAFE Act. We've got to do away with that woke nonsense, but we've got to protect our unborn babies, and I am 100% pro-life based on my belief that God creates us, and we are fearfully and wonderfully made, even as we are growing in our mother's womb. I'm very satisfied with the current Missouri law that prohibits abortion. We need to limit government's role. There is little that a person can do these days without the government trying to stick their hand in it. They need to stay in their lane and realize that they work for the people and stop continually regulating and limiting the people. I want to defend our property rights. In the past, we have fought the government on property rights issues such as attempts to meter our private wells, the Blue Waste Heritage Area, the Natural Streams Act, and 2 scenic byways attempts which would regulate the viewshed along those routes. We must have a representative who is going to stand against such infringements on private property. I want to be an advocate for farmers and ranchers. As a lifelong farm girl, I know the importance of agriculture, especially in our area. I've lived on a farm my entire life except for the 4 years when I went to Mizzou to get my degree in agriculture. M-I-Z, Jackson. Thank you. Farmers are the backbone of our nation, and we must fight to protect them and not regulate them to their death. Otherwise, we are going to continue to see the number of farms steadily decline as we have over the last 25 years. Besides these issues, there are numerous other issues upon which you can expect me to take a conservative stance. However, I'm very aware that this type of a conservative platform will likely be attacked, so it is going to take someone with courage to fight these battles. So now I turn to you, the voter. You have a choice, and it may take some courage from you as well. You are being presented with the opportunity to elect a conservative Christian, someone with an intelligent mind, someone who is a fresh new face in the political landscape, even though her name may not be as recognizable as her opponents. Someone who can articulately debate the issues and utilize
constituent input, critical thinking skills, and common sense to arrive at a decision on how to vote. Someone who will passionately defend your constitutional rights and freedoms. Someone who will not forget who she represents. You have one vote, and I ask you to use it courageously and wisely. Thank you.
Our next state representative candidate would be Larry Lindemann. I'm not sure Larry supports his president. I don't know.
I couldn't decide whether to wear a hat tonight or not because there was some certain connotations about wearing a hat indoors and everything, but if my president can wear a hat indoors at his rallies, I'm going to wear his hat. I've received several compliments on this hat. This hat said, Jesus is my Savior, Trump is my president. Before I get started, I'd like to see a show of hands of how many of you were at the Howell County Republican Caucus, the first ever. How many of you were there? Well, that was one of the greatest thrills of my life, to be able to nominate Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. I got a rousing round of applause, and that was more applause than I've ever received except for one other time. And that's when I sang the national anthem for the state archery tournament, and they really applauded when I quit singing. And that's a true story. I'd like to also thank David Evans for his service as representative of the 154th District. I ran against David. I tried to convince his wife to vote for me because I said, David will be able to spend more time with you at home if you vote for me because it's secret ballot. And anyway, Sandy, I'm glad to say you can vote for me this time and not feel ashamed at all. I'd also like to acknowledge Wendell Bailey, who spoke earlier today. I first met Wendell when I owned a service station that's now the parking lot of this facility. It was the Sinclair station on 423 East Main. Wendell asked me if he could use my parking lot to come in, eat a sandwich, change shoes as he was knocking on doors, going door to door. And Wendell, I admire you for that. And since I mentioned Wendell, I'm going to steal some of his thunder that he came up with. I don't know if you remember an article in one of Wendell's ads had a profile of Abraham Lincoln in the newspaper. And right next to Abraham Lincoln was a profile of Wendell Bailey. And the caption of it said, Abraham Lincoln, honest, Wendell Bailey, mostly honest. So I'm going to steal that line and try to get that to apply to me. I am a proud father of 2 biological sons, and I've got a bunch of stepsons, 2 of which I raised from the ages of 2 and 5, and I recently gained 3 all at once about 5 years ago. And I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm a big boy, and I think I can handle it. But my wife, just a little over 5 years now, about 5.5 years, sang at my first wedding 56 years ago, right across the street. And we both sang at the last one. She is, had to put it on tape because there was no way I could get through it with singing the songs that we did. And I'm very happy to announce that Wendell and his lovely wife Jane were in attendance at that wedding. And Wendell and Jane being a lot too. So anyway, thank you, Wendell and Jane, for being there. My wife, I mentioned her. I'd like to acknowledge her and have her stand. She has been the organist, again across the street, at the Episcopal Church for 38 years. date, we went parking. And we sang songs that I had previously recorded to be played at my funeral. The second date, we went frog gigging, and I used to work for the conservation department as an outdoor skills specialist, and I taught people how to do this sort of thing. And she is the only person that on her very first attempt to stab a frog, she got one with the gig on the first attempt. So it was love at first sight, or second sight, excuse me. But anyway, I want to thank her for allowing me to seek this position. I consider myself a Christian conservative. I'm a member of the Washington Avenue Church of Christ, where I do serve as a song leader. I've even taken the pulpit a time or two, but I get really emotional and don't thump the podium loud enough, I guess. But anyway, I have the Christian conservative values ingrained in me since childhood. Became a Christian at the age of 12. I was born and raised here in Howell County. I only lived in two other counties. First year at teaching school, I lived in Laflette County, and then I also managed a campground and canoe rental, Sunburst Ranch, over in Ozark County. So, born and raised in this area, grew up here. I attended college here when it was the West Plains Residence Center. Went to college at night. I worked all day at the International Shoe Company. Attending college at night, and I graduated high school in '67, graduated college in 1971. My most famous student, I will take credit for what a professional golfer became. Payne Stewart was in my 7th grade science class at Greenwood Lab School in Springfield, Missouri. So I helped make Payne what he became. I majored in biology, minored in chemistry. I taught high school science classes for 23 and a half years. And I will use that biology degree. If elected, I will support and generate, sponsor and co-sponsor any legislation that will have to do with genetics. I know a little bit about sex chromosomes. And these people, these individuals that want to participate, put on some lipstick and some eyeshadow, maybe inject a few hormones, even be able to convince a plastic surgeon to remove the original factory parts. Sports fans, if you possess a Y chromosome, you have no business participating in women's sports. I also went to work in the Outreach and Education Division of the Missouri Department of Conservation. And while I was there, I got to oversee the Hunter Ed program in 12 counties in the south, in the Ozark region of south central Missouri. I have 39 years experience of teaching hunter education. I'm very proud of that. I'm a life member of the National Rifle Association, so I'm very pro-gun. I'm also pro-life. One of the things that I think creates a problem in our schools today is the accessibility of synthetic marijuana, K2 and Delta 8. We need to curtail this availability and make it more difficult for these folks to obtain those drugs. I'd like to say one other thing. I'm not actively soliciting donations. I'm not stupid, I will accept your money. But I'm not actively soliciting your dollars. It's not your money I want, it's your vote, because I want to represent you in Jefferson City. Thank you, Larry Linden.
Okay, the last candidate tonight to speak on the state level is for the state rep, candidate Mark Collins.
sure I'm the last one, so I'm sure you've all been anxiously waiting to hear what I've got to say tonight. On the edge of your seat. It's good to have a good crowd we've had here tonight. Wow, what, everything has been said. Everything's been said that can be said. I am Mark Collins, and many of you know me as my former life as a county commissioner. I fought for you, I fought for your rights, I fought for Howell County, and that is why I want to go up to Jeff City. Because me and other commissioners, over the years, I was president of the County Commissioners Association and held various offices, and we did a lot of legwork in the state capitol. And we found out that a lot of the reps that were elected knew nothing of county government and rural areas. And frankly, didn't care. You know, it was low, way down on their totem pole. But try to educate them on the behalf of the counties and try to keep from getting unfunded mandates passed down to us. It's something that I think that needs to be brought to Jeff City's attention. We have several county candidates and that's running for state rep. They've either been a past commissioner or held some office. And there have been several representatives that's come down to the county level after they've got turned out. But we're looking to move county representation up and already have them educated in what it takes to help the counties. I know my wife couldn't come with me tonight, so I brought county rep from Herman Kelly from Shannon County, and he's probably the first elected Republican out of Shannon County. So need to give him a hand for that after 36 years ago. But seriously, the problems that Class 3 counties face up there in Jeff City is very serious. So we need representation that will have a heads up on what's going on. A couple other things that I'd like to think that Howell County needs to help out with is I would like to see the expansion of 63 Highway. I know the state level won't have much to do it, but we'd like to have a 4-lane, at least to the Arkansas line, at least from Rolla down to the Arkansas line, for safety reasons and for economic reasons. It would help all of central Missouri, southwest Missouri, but it's something that I and a lot of the other counties have worked on for years to try to get it done. And it would be nice if we could go all the way to the state line and have a central corridor, 4-lane corridor from Iowa all the way to Arkansas. And then I'm a lifelong farmer, and as many of you know, here in the last few years, Bradford pears have been an invasive species. And they have cost me, my family, and many of you out there many dollars and hours of work trying to control it. And I think there needs to be some kind of legislation, and there has been some passed, or some tried to get passed this year, but it was shot down by urban votes that to control this, and specifically the Bradford pear. There's only 5 states in the union that have laws against it in introducing it into the county. Nothing you can do what's here now probably, but just keep them from being introduced. But as many of you know, they are really something else, and they're really a problem. And I'd like to thank David Evans for his success in the past 6 years. One of the bills that he helped get passed, I talked to him about, and that was with, when I was getting close to being Social Security age, I got to do a little research, and I found out we were one of 11 or 12 states to still pay taxes on Social Security. And I mentioned it to David, and he didn't know it. At that time, he said he couldn't do anything about the concession, but he didn't, but he indirectly talked with some other representatives, and they got a bill passed now to where our Social Security is not taxed in the state of Missouri. So we need to give David a hand for getting that done. My beliefs are the same as 95% of everybody here in this room, I'm sure. I'm pro-life and pro-Second Amendment, and I'm strong on law enforcement. Crime is the fastest growing. When I was commissioner in the county, that was the fastest growing segment of the county, was crime. And you just need to get tougher on it. What the answer is, I don't know, but I would sure be willing to try to find out. And then choice in education. That's another big topic that's come about. And I'd like to do some more research on it. Here we already have, at the high school level, we already have choice. Whenever kids from Howell Valley or Richards or somewhere graduate, they can move on to any other of the high schools in the area. But at the lower level, you don't. But there's a lot more to the choice, school choice, than just the high school level. So it's definitely needs to be looked at. Like I said, there's several states that already have it, and education is very, very big. If you kids don't have a good foundation and good education, then they're lost. Just like your house. If you don't start with a good foundation, your house will never be right. So come August 6th, I would appreciate your consideration to be your next state representative, to represent you in Howell County up there in Jeff City. Thank you.
Okay, we just got one item left here tonight. I'd like to introduce the candidates that are running on the local level. They will, as in past years, they will usually speak. First off, running for sheriff, we have Matt Roberts. Also, the coroner tonight in attendance, we have Tim Cherry. Tim was here. And we have Dr. Gary DeShazo. And for Southern Commissioner's race, if I'm not mistaken, there's two running, but we have tonight with us Bruce Williams. And the other candidate is Jesse Wright. And I don't think Jesse's here. Okay. Just wanted to introduce those candidates. We also have some positions on the committee women position races. So just watch the ballot. It's been good. It's been exciting tonight to see all these candidates. And to run for office, it's got to be a calling. It really does. And I'm excited to see the number of quality candidates that's come out tonight and come to Howell County to share their beliefs, why they want to run, why they want to serve. And I thank them for coming, and I also thank them for serving, as in most of them are already serving in government. Some aren't yet, but it takes a true calling, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank each and every one of you for doing that. It's important. It's important for our state. It's important for our country. And again, thank you. I have nothing else tonight. Again, thanks for coming out. And I'd like to call on Ray Riggs, as he's our county surveyor, to close us tonight in a benediction. We started with the Riggs, and we're ending with the Riggs. Rick, so we can't do any better than that, I don't think. So, great. God bless you all and have a safe trip home.
Could we all bow our heads for prayer? Father, we thank you that we live in a nation where we have this privilege of coming into a place without fear of reprisal, to express our views, and just the freedom that we have in this republic. We thank you for that, Father. And we know that we all have our will. We have what we want. We all have listened tonight to these women speak. Father, what we want most of all is for your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we're asking tonight that you would do that in this upcoming election. We realize the gravity of it, but we're asking that your will would be done. And as we go from this place tonight, I pray for the protection of all those here